Dr. Smith, what do you recommend to your patients to try and avoid getting Lyme disease? What things work?
Right. There are some things that are helpful, and one of them is to just be aware of the environment that you're going into. If it's an area where there are likely to be deer ticks, and often these are borders of lawns where there's bushes or brush, or in forests, much less so on the lawn itself. But so being aware of that, and the things you can do to prevent ticks from attaching to you include using EPA-approved insect repellents on your skin, or a repellent called permethrin on your clothing, which has been very effective when that's been studied. So those things really help in terms of keeping ticks from attaching to you in the first place. After you've been in one of those areas, and assuming you've done all those things, it's still a good idea to come in and take a hot shower if you can, and put your clothes in the washer dryer, because it is possible that there could still be ticks on you that you can bring inside despite those other precautions. And you can have somebody look you over, you can look yourself over to see if you have a small tick attached to you after you've been in a risk area. So some simple measures that they're hard to remember to do all the time, but they can be helpful if you can adhere to those kinds of that kind of advice. Now, some people might say, well, just don't go outside in the summer. And that certainly is a way to protect yourself from tick exposure, but probably not something that's needed. But certainly it's, the ticks are going to be in particular environments for the most part, and that's where you're at risk.
Thank you. Dr. Kalish, I think Dr. Smith mentioned a nightly tick check. How do you do one?
Well, on yourself, of course, there's only certain areas you can see, and they really can be small. I think it's actually useful to say that in that sort of spring to early summertime, the ticks are like, I always say, like bagels. Think of a poppy seed. Actually, in the fall and winter into the early spring, it's the adult ticks, and they're more like a sesame seed. So just think of bagels, and you'll know poppy seeds in the spring, sesame seeds in the fall. And if they've been on you a while, they get bigger as they bloat up, so they get easier to see. But you do want to catch them quickly. So I think you do that, have your partner check you in the areas that you can't see, or anyone you're comfortable having check. They actually do really like to stop in sort of creasy, moist areas. So some of the more common areas where the ticks will feed is behind the knee, in the groin. In kids, actually, I've seen that it's often the head, because they roll around in the grass more than adults do. So I think those are just some important things to know. And I think I would emphasize also the importance of doing the tick checks that day. Again, it seems to be you have 24 to 36 hours before Lyme disease at least will be spread from the tick into a human. So even if you were out that morning and you catch them that night, you're probably okay, again, pulling them out with the tweezer.
Great. Thank you both.